I remember the spring Esther came in from the coop, looking like she had seen a ghost, except it was worse than any ghost, because a ghost cannot be seen crawling on the underside of a roosting bar in the lantern light. She had gone out at dusk with a flashlight, same as her mother taught her, just to check on a hen that had gone quiet and pale in the comb, and what she found there made her drop the light and come straight back to the house. Little red specks, moving, thick as pepper shaken across the wood, and by morning that hen was worse, and two more besides, their combs gone dull and their bodies gone thin under all that feather. She had done everything the feed store clerk told her the season before, some spray with a long chemical name neither of us could pronounce, and it had knocked the mites back for a few weeks, and then they came roaring back worse than ever, the way a fire will if you only beat down the flames and never touch the coals underneath. She told me later she had begun to dread going out to that coop at all, which is a hard thing for a woman who has kept hens her whole life and always found real peace in it. Most folks who keep hens today believe a mite problem is just something you spray and forget, same as you might spray a wasp nest and walk away. They buy the newest bottle every season. They watch their hens go thin and pale and stop laying the way they ought to, and they never once stop to ask why the mites keep coming back stronger than the spray that was supposed to end them. And if that is you, if you have stood in your own coop at dusk with a light in your hand and felt your stomach turn at what you found crawling there, then you are about to give up on the best flock you will ever keep, for want of something nobody bothered to teach you. My name is Elias, and my people came over from the Palatinate back in 1838, and they have farmed this same piece of Lancaster County ground ever since, keeping hens the whole while, through hard winters and years when an egg was worth more to a family than the penny it sold for. My grandmother kept a flock behind the house that near about never knew a bad mite season, not because she was lucky, and not because the mites of her day were somehow gentler than the mites of ours, but because she understood something about how a mite actually lives and dies that most folks today were simply never handed. She did not have a feed store full of bottles to choose from back then, so she learned to work with what the ground and the barn and plain patience gave her, and it served her better than any bottle has served most folks I know today. My wife Esther will tell you, once she learned what I am about to teach you, she has not lost a single hen to mites since, and her coop today is the same coop that near about broke her heart that spring evening with the flashlight, and now it is a coop she walks into at dusk without a second thought, same as she walks into her own kitchen. Here is the one thing I want you to understand, because once you understand it, you will never look at a mite problem the same way again. Almost everybody has this backward. They believe the fight is against the mites that are on the hen. It is not, or at least it is not mainly. A poultry mite of the kind that plagues most coops does not live on the bird day and night the way a flea lives buried in fur. It hides in the wood during the day, deep in every crack and joint and crevice of your roosting bars and walls, and it only comes out at night to feed on the hen and then retreats right back into hiding before daylight. That is why Esther found them crawling at dusk and not at noon, and why a daytime look at a hen can seem to show nothing at all wrong even while that same hen is being fed on every single night. You can spray a hen from head to toe and feel like a conquering hero, and the mites will simply wait out the spray tucked into the wood and come back out that same night to feed, same as always, leaving you wondering why the spray did not work, when in truth, it never had a chance to reach the mites at all. The old folks did not fight the mite on the bird. They fought the mite in its hiding place, because a hiding place you have destroyed cannot shelter anything ever again, no matter how many generations of mites might otherwise have sheltered there. That is the whole of it, and once you see it, you will find yourself looking at every crack in every roosting bar with a whole new kind of suspicion. Quick word before I go further. The old methods my family uses, there is more of it than fits in any one video. I gathered the whole of it into a book at eliasyoder.com. The book is the long version. If you want it, it is there. I will not mention it again. Now let me walk you through what we actually do, step by step, the way my grandmother showed my mother, and my mother showed Esther. I want to go slow here and give you the reason behind each part, because a man who only follows steps without understanding them tends to skip the ones that seem like too much bother, and it is very often the step that seems like the most bother that matters the most. I promise you, none of this is difficult, and none of it costs much at all, but it does ask for a little patience and a little thoroughness, which the old folks never seem to mind giving, where a shortcut would only have cost them more in the long run. The first thing, and the one most folks skip entirely, is a full and honest cleaning of the coop, right down to the bare wood, before you treat anything at all. Every bit of old bedding, every clump of manure, every cobweb in a corner, has to come out, because mites and their eggs hide in that mess the same way a fox hides in tall grass. Scrub the roosting bars and nest boxes down with hot water, and if you have it, a mild vinegar solution works well and costs almost nothing, because the acid disturbs mites and their eggs without harming your hens or tainting your eggs the way a stronger chemical might. Let everything dry fully in the open air and sun before you put anything back, because damp wood only invites the very trouble you are working to remove. This step alone will remove a good portion of your problem before you have done anything clever at all, the same way clearing brush away from a fence line makes the fence itself easier to mend. The second thing is diatomaceous earth, food grade only, which is nothing more than the fine, fossilized remains of tiny water creatures called diatoms, ground down to a powder so fine it feels soft to your hand, yet is sharp as glass, to something as small as a mite. It works not by poisoning the mite, the way a chemical spray does, but by scratching through the waxy coating on its body, so the mite dries out and dies from the inside, a mechanical death rather than a chemical one, which is why it is safe to use around your hens and your eggs, both when you use the food-grade kind, and keep it away from where the hens or you yourself might breathe in a heavy cloud of the dust. Work it into every crack and joint of the roosting bars, into the nest boxes, and into the dust bath area, using a simple squeeze bottle or an old flour sifter, because it is the cracks and joints where the mites hide through the day, not the open flat surfaces, that need the powder most. Take your time working it in with an old paintbrush or your gloved fingers if a crack is stubborn, because a powder merely dusted across the surface of a joint will wash away or blow off long before it ever reaches the mites tucked down inside it. The third thing is the dust bath itself, which your hens already know to want by instinct, and which the old folks simply learn to help along. A mix of fine, dry dirt, wood ash from a cold, safe fireplace, and a portion of that same food-grade diatomaceous earth, kept dry under cover, gives your hens a place to bathe themselves the way nature intended, working the mixture down into their own feathers and skin day after day, without you lifting a finger. My grandmother always said a hen with a good dust bath does half your work for you, and she was not wrong, because a hen dusting herself daily keeps her own mite numbers down between your coop treatments in a way no spray bottle ever could, and it costs you nothing more than a shallow box and a bit of dirt you likely already have on hand somewhere about the place. The fourth thing, and this one surprises folks because they think of it as decoration rather than defense, is whitewash, the same simple mix of lime and water my great-grandmother used on the outbuildings. Painted onto the inside walls and roosting bars of a coop, lime whitewash raises the surface enough in its natural chemistry that it is inhospitable to mites hiding in those tiny cracks, and it has the added benefit of brightening the inside of the coop, so you can spot trouble early, the same way a clean, well-lit barn shows you a problem long before a dark, cluttered one ever would. It costs only what the lime itself costs, and a coop wants a fresh coat every year or two regardless, so you are folding a real defense into a chore you would be doing anyway. The fifth thing is sunlight and airflow, which cost nothing at all, and which the old folks leaned on more than any bottle or powder. Mites thrive in damp, dark, still air, and they suffer in bright, dry, moving air, same as mold does. If your coop has small windows or vents that let true sunlight and a cross breeze move through during the day, you are stacking the conditions against the mite every single day without lifting a finger past opening a shutter in the morning and closing it at night. On a fair day, pulling the roosting bars out entirely and setting them in direct sun for a few hours will do more to a hiding mite than most any spray, because a mite exposed to strong heat and dry light in the open has nowhere left to hide at all, and a bar treated this way once a month through the warm season stays far cleaner than one left in place and shadow the whole year through. The sixth thing, and this one matters most to anyone selling or eating the eggs themselves, is understanding why none of what I have described touches your eggs in any harmful way at all. A mite lives and feeds on the hen's skin and blood, not inside the egg she lays. And every method I have walked you through here, the cleaning, the food-grade diatomaceous earth, the dust bath, the lime whitewash, and the sunlight, works on the coop and the hen's own surroundings, rather than passing through her body into the egg the way certain chemical treatments are cautioned against doing. This is precisely why the old folks favored these methods for a flock they meant to keep eating from, because they never had to wonder or wait out any withdrawal period before gathering eggs again, and neither will you. Now, the mistakes, because I would be doing you a disservice if I only told you what to do and never warned you where folks go wrong. The first mistake is treating the hen and forgetting the wood, which I already told you is exactly backward from where the real problem lives. The second mistake is doing one thorough cleaning and treatment and believing the job is finished forever, when in truth, a mite egg can survive a good while in a crack you missed, and a proper program means checking back every week or two through the warm months, not just once in the spring. The third mistake is using far more diatomaceous earth than needed, in a heavy cloud rather than a light, working into the cracks, which does no extra good against the mites, and only risks bothering the breathing of your hens and yourself. A little worked in thoroughly beats a great deal thrown on carelessly, same as a pinch of good salt beats a fistful of poor. The fourth mistake is neglecting the run and the ground outside the coop itself, because mites and their cousins can live in the dirt and old bedding around the coop just as easily as inside it, so a program that only touches the inside walls is only half a program. The fifth mistake, and one that catches even careful folks, is treating only in warm weather and assuming a cold winter has settled the matter for good. Mites can survive, tucked deep in a crack, through a good part of the cold season, waiting quietly for warmth to return, so a wise keeper gives the coop one more good look and one more light treatment as the weather turns cold, and again as it turns warm the following year, rather than assuming a hard frost has done the whole job alone. I want to say something plain here, because I think you deserve the truth rather than a comfortable story. I am not telling you that some man in a boardroom schemed all this up to keep you buying spray bottle after spray bottle. No one had to sit in a room and plan it. It is worse than a conspiracy in a way, because it is a system that nobody had to coordinate on purpose. It simply pays better, year after year, to sell you a new bottle every season than to teach you how a mite actually lives and hides, because a customer who understands the hiding place needs to buy a great deal less than a customer who is only ever spraying the bird. Nobody schemed that. It just quietly worked out that way, the same way water finds the low ground without any man digging the channel for it, and it will keep working out that way unless folks like you and me pass along what the old ones knew for free, one flock and one honest conversation at a time. So let me bring it all back together plainly, so it sticks with you the way a good recipe sticks, after you have made it a time or two yourself. The mite is not mainly a problem on your hen. It is mainly a problem hiding in your wood, so clean the coop down to bare wood first. Work food-grade diatomaceous earth into every crack and joint. Give your hens a proper dust bath of dry dirt and wood ash and a bit of that same powder. Whitewash the inside walls with lime, the way the old farmhouses were kept. Let sunlight and airflow do their quiet work every single day. And rest easy, knowing every one of these steps leaves your eggs entirely untouched and safe to gather, same as always. Check back every week or two through the warm months rather than treating once and forgetting it. Give the coop one more careful look as the seasons turn in the fall and again in the spring. And do not neglect the ground and the run outside the coop itself. Fix the true hiding place, and you will find you need far less of any bottle to keep your flock well, and a good deal more peace of mind besides. Now I would love to hear from you, truly, because I read every single comment, every one, and it is from you folks writing in that I learn how this plays out clear across the country, in ways my own small flock here in Lancaster County could never show me on its own. Tell me, what breed of hen are you keeping? And has a mite problem ever caught you the way it caught Esther that spring evening with the flashlight? What part of the country are you writing from? Because a damp coastal climate fights mites a little differently than a dry, dusty one. And I want to hear that difference plain, from the people living it, rather than guessing at it from my own porch. Tell me what you always believed the answer to a mite problem was before today, and whether that belief just got turned on its head a little, same as mine once was before my own grandmother set me straight on it as a boy. And tell me who taught you the bit of old farm wisdom you do carry with you about keeping hens, a grandmother, a grandfather, an old neighbor down the road. Because I believe there is a whole quiet country of us out here who still remember these things, scattered farm to farm, and we ought to be talking to each other about it more than we do. I have found that the comments section under these videos has become something like a long kitchen table, stretching clear across the country, and I do not take that lightly. If this helped you see your own coop a little differently, I would take it as a kindness if you shared it with a neighbor keeping hens who has been fighting the same losing battle every season, because that is truly the only advertising an honest channel like this one ever needs. One person telling another over a fence line or a phone call. Next time, I want to walk with you through keeping a flock laying steady clear through the short, cold days of winter, because there is an old trick for it that has nothing to do with any artificial light left burning all night, the way the feed stores tell you, and it will surprise you how simple and how kind to the hens it truly is once you see it laid out plain. I will leave you with this. My grandmother used to say that keeping hens well is not about fighting off every trouble that comes along. It is about building a place so healthy and so well understood that trouble has a hard time finding a foothold in the first place. She did not learn to whitewash a coop or work diatomaceous earth into a roosting bar because she expected any reward for it beyond healthy hens and full egg baskets. She did it because that is what it means to take care of a creature that has been put in your keeping, the same way it means something to take care of a piece of ground or a family name passed down to you. There is a certain quiet satisfaction, one that no bottle from any feed store can sell you, in walking out to your own coop at dusk with a light in your hand and finding nothing there to fear, same as Esther does now every single evening, without a second thought. That is the whole of what these old ways are, when you get down past all the specifics of lime and dust baths and sunlight. They are just the quiet, patient care of people who built this country with their own two hands, passed down to whoever is willing to slow down long enough to listen. I am glad you were willing to listen today. Take care of your flock, and it will take care of you and yours for a good long while yet.